Hello, everybody. It's Dragoncast. I'm your host, Jamie East, alongside my erstwhile co-host, Mr. Chris Mandle. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. The eagle-eyed of you who are watching on YouTube will notice we're wearing the same clothes as we're
I always wear black on this podcast.
Yeah.
For continuity reasons.
Oh, do you? Is that why?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. You're like Steve Jobs. Just removes one decision from the.
It really does.
From the day. Yeah,
it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not imagining things. We did only just release an episode yesterday because this is a bonus episode, and it's the first of our attempts at rewatching a non-Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire series whilst we're waiting for House of the Dragon season 2. We had a bit of a false start, a bit of a standing start with the Americans, mainly because it just became too daunting. We were going to try and watch 4 episodes a week in order to get through that many. By the time it stressed us out far too much. And what we have instead done is chosen a series probably that less of you will have seen. Excuse me, I just burped then. Very unprofessional. That probably less of you will have seen, but I'm sure a lot of you will have heard about and maybe intrigued about. It's called The OA. And to give you a bit of a brief kind of non-spoilery history of the OA, let me take you onto basically what I'm going to do is read Wikipedia, which is what everybody does.
Yes.
So it's classed as an American mystery drama. It's got bits of science fiction, bits of fantasy, bit of supernatural. It came out in 2016, exec produced and created by Brit Marling and Zal Batmanglij. Oh, fucking hell. Batmanglij? I'm so sorry. I've completely mangled that, Zay. It's the third time they collaborated. Two seasons of 8 episodes each, all directed by Zal, produced by Plan B. So Brad Pitt is a producer of this. And it centres on a woman called Prairie Johnson, who's played by Brit Marling, who resurfaces having been missing for 7 years. And it takes a bit of a twist where we realise that she used to be blind and now can see. Right, that's as much as I think you need to know going into it. Chris, you'd not watched any of this.
Never.
I'd watched it before, loved it, championed it, wrote about it in papers and all sorts, and was very upset when it got cancelled. What were your thoughts going into it, Chris?
So I knew it was like a cult show. I knew people that watched it, loved it. There was a lot of anger when it got cancelled or when Netflix decided not to renew it. And I knew that it was a really, just a very evocative, like powerful show. I knew elements of it, I think particularly as it relates to what happens in the finale. Like I sort of know, I don't want to sort of spoil it in case anyone listening is also sort of starting it fresh. So I kind of knew a rough end point, but didn't really know how the show gets there. So I was quite intrigued when I watched this episode. I felt like it's just a very what's the best way to say this? I was quite impressed at how much they got through, like with Prairie or the OA, however they want to be referred to, gives the big sort of backstory towards the end of the episode. That is something that most shows would save until halfway through.
Yeah, there's a moment, isn't there, in it where it's not so much a plot twist; it's kind of almost like a bit of a reveal, and the titles don't even come in until
like 50 minutes into the episode.
50 minutes into the episode, which I thought was a really nice. It was a real kind of like, oh wow, that's kind of, I felt kind of fresh and new. What did you make of? Did you understand what was going on at this point? Do you have much of a clue about what the OA is? Just before we talk, we're assuming that everyone that's listening to this has watched season 1, episode 1 of the OA. If you haven't, go stop the podcast, go back and watch it and come back, okay? Because this will be spoilery.
The OA, I don't think I know who or what the OA is. I know that Prairie calls herself the OA, but I don't know anymore. What I would say though, I don't really know what's going on, other than she's trying to, like, she wants these 5 people to help her do something.
Yeah.
And she's trying to connect with someone called Homer who went missing, I think.
Yeah.
But
So,
what I thought,
she's just trying to reconnect with this mysterious Homer, isn't she?
yeah, what I thought was really interesting though is for a show that is, quite cosmic in its sort of scope and is dealing with things that are literally impossible, like someone going blind and then regaining their sight, and then there's that moment where she sort of gets pulled out of the water into that sort of astral plane almost with that like deity sort of looking person.
Yeah, it's like
there's a lot of that, but also the stuff around that at home was like a very human drama with very human stakes. And I thought the stuff that really affected me was the way that she just can't assimilate back into society, the way that like her parents are worried about her kind of being radicalized, and the scene where her door is taken off her, and also just like her internet usage being sort of monitored or prevented. Just these incredible moments of isolation, even though someone has like come back from somewhere, that feeling of being incredibly imprisoned. And
it's worth pointing out this was set in like 2019, so which is or maybe it's like 2007, 2008. I think it's kind of set because technology felt pretty ancient. It's like she was using like one of these weird iMacs that never really took off. With that was on like a Pixar kind of like tripod thing. The phones, as they always used to be in like American up until like about a year ago, always the flip phones. There's a big deal about having to get an internet router.
That was interesting.
Stuff.
I just thought it might also be in a really rural part of the Midwest or something.
Maybe,
but it's. I feel like when you have these like mystery shows, like the mystery has to sustain everything, and I thought I was surprised at how much they gave away at the start. So I'm just really intrigued to see where it goes.
They've given away nothing.
No, but I mean, do you know what I mean? How they could not tell you what actually happened.
No, true.
With the car crash and the going in the water. But I thought all of it was just, I thought the flashbacks were really powerful. I thought it's just really, I mean, I know what you said.
It's an intriguing pilot, isn't it? It's an intriguing pilot.
They sort of they haven't shown their cards, but they're like, just trust us, just come along. I mean, it's what's it been like for you rewatching it? Did you pick up on
it? I mean, I watched it with, I asked Mrs. East and my son 3, who's just about to turn 18, if they want to watch it, and they watched it and absolutely loved it. Like properly kind of like, if you can get a 17-year-old boy to sit and watch an hour's worth of television today, you know that the show must have something in there. So he was pretty invested in what was going on. And I think a lot of it has to do with Brit Marling's performance. It's quite an unusual lead character, I think. She's not. She doesn't come across as particularly damaged. She doesn't come across as like, she's not like a sexy kind of like beautiful kind of like, leading lady. She doesn't come across as particularly heroic. She comes across as quite weird, I think. And the whole thing I love about the OA is that, and I'm telling you this not as a kind of spoiler or anything, but like, you never really get to a place where you feel like you know what is entirely going on.
Right.
That's there's always kind of like it's always kind of like, oh fuck, right, okay, wow. Everything takes a long time to digest with this show.
I think it's really a testament. Yeah, Brit is the sort of thing that holds it together, because there's something quite ethereal about her. It does feel like she's come from another dimension, but also that she could just be like a normal person. Like there was an element of this where I was like, is this all just like a giant scam? Like, is this, I could see a version of this show where she just is like a con woman,
That is a question that is not unreasonable to ask.
And I thought the way that, because what I think it does, and it's actually, this is a weird comparison, but it reminded me a lot of like Mayor of Easttown, because that does such a good job at rooting you in the specifics of this community, this school, this system, this like neighborhood. And it felt like a really human episode, like a human drama with human stakes. At the same time, you've got this like, I sort of drowned and lost my eyes, and I woke up in this like other place, and then I got sent back and they took my eyes. And that line that's like, I'm taking your eyes because I don't want you to have to see what comes next or something. I was like,
Good line.
whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Good line. Good line. But that I mean, what you do get a sense of pretty in this episode is that there are multiple storylines occurring, also in multiple dimensions. I think it's fair to say you've got that that whole weird kind of shaman thing where she's in that almost what was that exhibition at the Tate Modern where you walked in and it was like the mirrors with the lights.
Oh, well, the light. Everyone was taking selfies in there.
Yeah. That's basically that they must have got that from this
immersive exhibition.
So there's that, and then we also learned that there's this whole storyline where her father may, we don't even know if it's true at this stage, where this young girl is like the daughter of a Russian oligarch who's kind of seemingly maybe a target or all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah, there was a sort of, I mean, I just kind of went along with the fact that she was briefly Russian for a while.
Yeah, but then you kind of think, well, how does a blind Russian girl end up kind of in this weirdly non-specific kind of town in America?
The scars on her back. What's the name of the fella that she the really dangerous guy that she sort of befriends? Steve. Of course his name is Steve. He sees her in the changing rooms and sees these almost orange kind of welts across her back that just look.
And there was a line that they said. So they gathered the kind of this. I loved all the kind of it's the little details that really kind of give you little chills, which is like, oh, that's quite intriguing. Why does it have to be 5 people plus her? Why do they have to leave their door open?
Yeah.
And all of these kind of very specific, almost like ingredients to do something.
Yeah.
And we don't at this stage know what that is. And there was a good line in there where she said, I've died more times than you will ever know, or something like that. Which was just kind of like, what is that?
There has to be, to me, there's got to be some kind of reincarnation thing going on.
Okay.
Like, I think this would be a good time. I mean, I can't claim to know what's going on, but I feel like there's got to be some reincarnation thing, some like cosmology going on where the Russian girl is like, living in this other person's body. There could be something like that. I think also, it's batshit, but I'm just in, I think.
Good.
Mystery shows are some of my favorite, and I'm really glad you mentioned 1899 because that is on my list.
Yeah.
But what is going on, what the fuck is going on is powerful enough to keep me in.
Yeah,
I just
100%.
want to know. I just want to know what's going on, and
it's the escape room mentality, isn't it?
It's
got to be an interesting enough kind of first. It's got to be an interesting enough first thing to kind of get you to go and look for the rest of the clues.
But this is why, in terms of books, I love like murder mysteries, right? Because there is a sort of structure to them. It's like an algorithm. Like you will learn more and more and more and more and more, and then you can probably figure it out, but you probably won't. And it's like, it's so tantalizing when you've got a system or like a system of like, this will happen. And I think with mystery shows generally, and I'm including like Lost in there, they have to show their cards at some point, and that is what I'm like here for,
Great.
I'm trying to think of something we watched recently where I can't even remember. We were watching something where me and Rob were both a bit like, don't really know where this is going, but I just have to see how it ends. The one show. Yeah. Blue Peter, when is that ship going to fucking turn up?
Exactly.
I've been watching it for 30 years and it's not turned up.
It was like when COVID hit and it was the end of season 1 of EastEnders.
Yeah. But I could almost have seen, to be honest with you, us doing 2 episodes per podcast because I just wish I knew more.
Yeah, but that's part of the. There's only 8 to do. I think see how we feel after next week. Watch episode 2. We'll get together this time next week and do episode 2. If we feel like we're kind of desperate to kind of watch two a piece, I'm down with that. That's absolutely fine by me.
I just think there's just loads to. I'm intrigued. Also, love that you lady off The Office, the American Office, is the teacher.
She's one of my favourite characters in this.
I loved that. Like, I just thought she was in as like a bit part, and then she sort of gets sort of tuned into what the OA is sort of preaching about. That is something that you could imagine another show not getting to for like 3 episodes, but they got
I kind of feel as though there was a trope in there that only seems to exist in America, which is people dressing up as people impersonating parents at schools.
I could not believe that.
This would never ever happen in the UK. I fucking guarantee that.
She's like, I'm his stepmom, and it's like, you look 4 years older than him.
Yeah,
but also okay.
And it's like, it's just they'd be like, where were you at fucking bingo night then?
Yeah,
they'd be like,
you've not bought a raffle ticket ever.
Exactly.
You just want to get an appointment, but
for such a small town.
Yeah,
for a small American town, it's like, I've never seen you before.
Also, you look like the girl that's in the news. Who
don't you look like that blind girl off the YouTube video? Yeah.
But I think also part of me was like, is part of this, if my sort of feeling is that Prairie is this sort of slightly otherworldly, is there an element of like, you just don't understand social norms? The fact you thought this would work is an indictment to how misinformed you are.
You mean like a faceless man? So she kind of projects the
kind of
interesting theory, Chris Mandle.
My feeling is at the moment is that there's some sort of reincarnation thing going on.
Okay, hold that thought.
Trying to read your body language, see if you're nodding, if you're
I think episode 2 is just gonna cause you to ask a hell of a lot of questions.
Well, that would be good. Yeah, that would be good to know.
And
good to get into.
And you're going to get homework as well. So this is So I'm just telling you now.
Jump into an icy lake in a night dress.
You don't have to jump into an icy lake, but you will have to start being flexible. By the time we get to the end of this season, there's going to be something that you're going to need to do.
Do I have to leave my doors open?
Do not Google it. Do not Google anything about the season.
No, that's fair. Okay, so intriguing. I have to start doing.
And the same for anyone listening as well. There will be homework and practice. Okay.
Okay. Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
We're not in Westeros anymore, are we?
We're not. We're not in Westeros anymore, Dorothy. Right. That's it for this kind of little bonus episode of the OA. Mm-hmm. Let us know what you thought about it. Let us know if you're into it, because we're aware as an audience you're kind of like intrinsically linked to Westeros and King's Landing and Dragoncast and all the rest of it. So this is a bit of a departure. So I'm keen to know whether you're into it. And it doesn't matter if you're not. If you hated it, let us know, because it's a pretty divisive season. As Chris pointed out, it's a cult series. Yeah. And what people say when they mean cult is that only a few people really, really liked it. Not enough people like this
the ratio of cost to enjoyment is not in the right direction. And,
but it is a show that just keeps on getting more and more.
Yeah.
Some might say ludicrous, but I'm going to say just insane.
I'm here for that, for what it's worth. There's a lot of like grave, serious dramas out there.
Yeah.
I love a show that is a bit bonkers.
A bit daft, yeah.
For that. So,
I guarantee we will get to, when we get to what, in 16 weeks' time, when we're discussing the finale of season 2, you won't know what your own fucking name is.
Fucking hell. Okay, well that is something to look forward to. But until
then, we won't say Dracarys. We'll just say I'm the OA. I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
I haven't got close enough to it to have developed.
This time next week, there will be something we can do to close off each episode.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll see you next week then.
See you next week, Christopher.
All right. Bye-bye.